It is almost the month of August, and it is time to find out what I might read in the upcoming month. Stay tuned for my pile of possibilities. Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome to my reading life and welcome to another pile of possibilities video. Today we are going to be going through all of the books that I might read in August. First up, I'm going to share the books that I'm reading for buddy reads, book group, group reads, all of that good stuff. Then I'm going to go through the very large pile of books that I have just pulled off my shelves that feel like maybe I might want to read them in August. And then lastly, please stay tuned until the end because I had so much fun in July having you all pick the book off of my Kindle that I read on vacation that we are going to do something similar again this month. So make sure you watch the whole video so that you can find out which 3 books you are going to vote for, and whichever one wins, that is the book I will for sure read in August. But without further ado, grab yourself a cuppa. Mine is so hot today. I gotta set this down. But grab yourself a cuppa and let us get into all of the books I might read in August. As I mentioned, the first few books that I'm going to share are books that I am either buddy reading or are for group reads or book clubs. And the first 2 books are actually 2 that I had on my July TBR, but my buddy reads, we sort of moved them off. We kind of just ran out of time because that's what happens when you have so many books to read. But the first book that I'll be reading in August is Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth by Sheila O'Connor. I'm going to read this with my lovely subscriber, Jen. And yes, this is a middle grade epistolary novel, and it's set during the Vietnam War about a young girl who befriends an older man in her neighborhood, and they start a correspondence. So very much looking forward to this one. And then the second book that was a tentative July read but has now been pushed off to August is Wildfire at Midnight by Mary Stewart. This is a reread for me. I've read all of Mary Stewart's romantic suspense novels. I'm going to be buddy reading this with my lovely friend Jacqueline, and this one is about Gianetta, and she is on holiday on the Isle of Skye, and she is recovering from the divorce from her writer husband. But a vicious murder throws the community into confusion, and then her ex-husband shows up. Dun, dun, dun. So this sounds like the perfect romantic suspense novel to wind up the summer with. I am excited to armchair travel to the Isle of Skye. Next up is the book that I'll be reading with my Gilded Age buddy read group. We took July off, but we are back for August with a non-Gilded Age book that we're reading. We are going to read Willa Cather's A Lost Lady, and we picked this mainly because it is quite slim and it just feels like an easy, lighter read to read in the month of August when many of us have other book commitments. And so this just seemed much more doable than picking a Gilded Age novel for this month. And in this one, we are following Mrs. Forrester. She lives in the town of Sweetwater, a fading railroad town on the Western Plains. She's their resident aristocrat, at once gracious and comfortably remote. To her aging husband, she is a treasure whose value increases as his powers fail. To Niall Herbert, who falls in love with her as a boy and becomes her confidant as a man, Mrs. Forrester is an enigma, by turns steadfast and faithless, dazzling and pathetic, a woman whose charms intertwined with a terrifying vulnerability. Well, sounds very interesting. Sounds like a character study a little bit, so very much looking forward to this one. And then next up is the pick for the Cozy Reader Book Club. Not too late to join us if you'd like to read our selection for August with us, and that is Fresh from the Country by Miss Read. This is a standalone Miss Read novel, and this one is about a teacher. Young Anna Lacey has spent most of her life on a farm in Essex, but her first teaching position carries her away to a newly constructed suburb. And she has to adjust to cramped lodgings, a skinflint landlady, overcrowded classrooms, and eccentric colleagues. And she has to adapt some of her idealistic theories of teaching to the realities of her energetic, exuberant pupils. So I'm so excited. I have had this book on my shelf for over 3 years now, and I'm so happy to be finally reading it. And as we head into the school year here in California, my son starts school at the beginning of August. Not ready. It still feels like summer, you guys. What happened to the days of going back to school after Labor Day? That's when we used to start school, you know, back in the olden times. I know some people still do that, but it is very rare out here on the West Coast. Anyway, regardless, I'll be ready to be reading a story about a school teacher. And again, if you would like to join the Cozy Reader Book Club, you can email me. My email address is in the description box below and always in my channel information as well. And let me know you'd like to join and we'll add you to our mailing list. So that's all you need to do, but very much looking forward to this misread. And then my last for sure read for August is, of course, Volume 8 of the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon by Beth Brower. This is the last published novel in this series so far. So sad, but I have a theory that maybe Volume 9 is coming out in December because I believe the last 2 volumes have come out in December of the prior year. So fingers crossed that that's the case, but we're going to be reading Volume 8 and then we will be wrapping up both Volume 8 and the entire series. I have a very fun live stream planned for the final Friday in August, the date of which is escaping me. I will put it here on the screen. My live streams are always at 4:00 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and I would love to have you join us for that. I'm going to have some special guests on with me, and it's going to be a bit of a celebration of Emma M. Lyon and having read the entire series that is published to date. Very much looking forward to this one. This is a great entry in this series and is going to have me very much longing for Volume 9 to come out very, very soon. Again, fingers crossed. Tea break. Okay, next up is this giant stack that I just pulled off my shelves because either it was a book that was calling to me, it's a book I recently purchased, it was something I heard about somewhere, and all of these are things I think I might want to read in August. I certainly won't read them all, but again, this is just a pile of possibilities. These are in no particular order. My first possibility is the next book in the Mrs. Polifax series, Mrs. Polifax and the Second Thief. And in this one, I think she goes to Sicily. And yes, very much looking forward to following Mrs. Polifax on her latest adventures. So this is pretty high on the possibilities list, especially because these books are so short and they're so quick to read. So yes, excited to continue on with that. And then the next book is one that I picked because I listened to the Tea or Books podcast, their 10th anniversary. They had 2 special episodes for their 10th anniversary. And in their second episode, they went through each of their top 10 books that they have read for the podcast. And they talked about this book, which was a book I purchased because I originally heard about it on their podcast. And they mentioned it again. And I have heard that it is a very good summer read because I believe it takes place in the month of August. What better time to read it, right? And that is Father by Elizabeth von Arnim. I'm drawn to this book for a few reasons. It's about a woman who has lived with her father and she's managed his home. And then he suddenly announces he's going to get remarried. And so Jennifer, our main character, love a main character with my name, has to sort of, now reevaluate her life. She's 33 and so now she has this newfound freedom, and I have heard wonderful, wonderful things about this. And yes, so again, another one, oh gosh, I'm going to keep saying these are all high on my possibilities list, but this one definitely is. Again, I've had this one for a couple of years now, going on almost 3 years, and I really would like to get to this. Has anyone read that one? Did you love it? And then another British Library women writers book, which I just purchased. So you've seen this recently in my recent book haul, and that is Stories for Summer and Days by the Pool. And this is just a collection of summery short stories. And I think I might just, dip into this. I did start the first story already, so I'm just a few pages in, but I think I might just have this one near me when I'm just have a few minutes to read. Maybe I'll tuck it in my purse when I'm out and about and have some time this month. going to be back doing school pickups again and drop-offs, so I may have some sitting around time. This might be a good book to have at hand. And then, of course, because it is the last full month of summer, I am drawn to books that have a summery feel or have summer in the title, as this next book does, and that is The End of Summer by Rosamund Pilcher. This is a very slim novel of hers, and this says, Jane is thrilled to accept her grandmother's invitation to return to Scotland after 7 years in California. Part of the attraction lies in seeing her cousin, Sinclair, for when they were children, Sinclair had been the most important person in Jane's life. Will the magic still be there? So I guess we will find out, but that sounds good. And again, a very slim little read and one that I could very easily get through, hopefully. We'll see. Next up is another book I recently purchased. I got this when my mom and I went to Book Passage's bookstore up in Marin. And if you're a member of my Book Jenny's Patreon, you got to see a little vlog of us heading up there and doing some bookstore shopping and seeing a lovely library up there in Marin. And if you'd like to join my Book Jenny's, you are welcome to do so. And all of my prior videos are always accessible to you once you join. But the book that I purchased there was All New People by Anne Lamott. And I really love Anne Lamott's writing. She's a local writer to me. She lives here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And this is actually a coming of age story about a young girl, Nanny Goodman, living in Marin County, California during the 1960s. And I think it's just sort of all about her growing up during a fairly turbulent time in our country. So very much looking forward to this. When I was checking out at the register, the woman who checked me out said this is her favorite Anne Lamott book. And so I'm very much looking forward to it. And it just looks so summery. That picture of the beach scene. Yeah. And then next is yet another book that has summer in the title. So I had to put it in this pile of possibilities, and that is A Shower of Summer Days by May Sarton. And I picked this up, when did I get this? I think this might have been at the library book sale. It sounds like this is about the Gordons who are heading home to Dean's Court, which is a house in Ireland, which Violet Dean Gordon has inherited. And this is a story of people intricately bound to each other and to a beautiful old house by a mesh of powerful memories stretching far back into the past. It says much has to be untangled in one brief summer, a marriage, a love affair, a past and a future, the paths of several lives. That sounds really good. I love May Sarton's writing, and so I am looking forward to this one. And then next up is a book that doesn't have summer in the title, but has August in the title. And that is the next book I need to read in Angela Thirkell's Barsetshire novels, and that is August Folly. This is about the village of Worstead. They are staging Hippolytus. And inevitably, the most absurd romances bloom. Boorish young Richard Tebbins, just down from Oxford, falls in love with Mrs. Dean, mother of 9, whose oldest son loves Richard's sister, who loves... ... Amidst a series of comic catastrophes, everyone manages to redeem themselves. So sounds like it's set during a theatrical production, and I'm always here for books that have to do with theater or surround theater. So very much looking forward to that one. And then next up is a non-fiction book, and everybody, every time I mention this, keeps saying how much they love it. I know I'm gonna love it too, and so I'd really like to start it in August, even if maybe I don't finish it until September, but that is My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. And this is just about his family and their life when they moved to the island of Corfu. I've watched part of the BBC TV series, which I think is The Durrells in Corfu, and very much enjoyed it. So I know I'm going to like this. And I definitely wanted to have at least one nonfiction book in my August pile of possibilities. So this is it. And then lastly is a book that you saw in my most recent book haul, and that is Marcia Willett's The Songbird. And this is another book set during the summertime, and I'm just sort of in the mood for Marcia Willett-y, Rosamund Pilcher-y, I'm turning them into like adjectives, type books, just sort of, you know, quiet, meandering family stories, a little bit of drama, but nothing too terrible. I don't know, that's just kind of what I'm in the mood for right now. So hopefully I'll get to this one. We shall see. So those are all of the just random books I pulled off of my shelves that I might want to read in August. And then we have one final stack, very small stack of books. And because I had so much fun in July letting you all pick the book on my Kindle that I was going to read on vacation, and I'll be sharing my thoughts on that for sure. You can see some of my thoughts on that book during my Hawaii vlog. I will link that here and in the description box below. But I'll be doing the reading wrap up very soon where I share more thoughts on the book I read off of my Kindle. But I thought it would be fun to pick 3 of the books that I had on my 25 and 2025 stack of books that I'd pulled that I really wanted to read this year, but haven't been making very good progress on that stack. And I thought, what better way to make some progress than to have all of you pick one of those books for me to read in August. There is a poll in my community tab, and I will have a link to that in the description box below. So be sure you go to that link and then go over to my community tab to vote on which one of these 3 books I will for sure read in August. And without further ado, here are the 3 books. So the first book you have to choose from is Right Ho Jeeves by P.G. Wodehouse. Of course, this is a Jeeves and Wooster story. It'll be very humorous and light, and that just sounds perfect for August. And it's been a while since I've read any Wodehouse, so I thought I would put this one into the mix. And then next up is A Very Special Year by Thomas Montessor, and this is a book translated from the French. And this is a book about a bookshop. This young woman, Valerie, inherits her great aunt's bookshop. I think her great aunt goes missing. I'm not sure if she's disappeared. Valerie doesn't seem to really want to take care of the bookshop, but then some kind of magical things maybe start happening. So I feel like there might be a bit of magical realism in this, but I've had this book on my shelf for a very, very long time. And so I thought I'd throw this one in the mix as well. And then the next book is also set in France, though this is a nonfiction pick, and this is En Route Tatin by Susan Loomis. And this is all about Susan and the house she buys in Normandy. She was trained as a chef in Paris, but then she goes to a small town of Louviers, and she buys a 300-year-old timbered house, a former convent, across the street from the town's great church. And then I think she buys it, and then she and her husband are, sort of fixing it up and living in this small town. And this is all about that experience. So that sounds fabulous too. Which one do you think I should read in August? P.G. Wodehouse, a French translated novel, or a nonfiction book set in France? So be sure after you finish watching this video that you go over to my community tab and vote in the poll there for which of these books I should read in August. The poll will be open until Sunday, August 3rd, and then I will announce the winning book next Monday. So let me know which one of these you would like me to read. And that wraps up my pile of possibilities for August. Let us chat down in the comments. Have you read any of these books? Is there any book on here that I should prioritize, especially from that big pile of random books that I pulled off of my shelves? Which of those should I for sure read? Have you read and loved any of them? And what is on your August pile of possibilities? Definitely let me know that down in the comments. I always love chatting with you there. And if you're here but you don't have anything you'd like to add in the comments, but you want to let me know that you were here because comments really do help my channel, why don't you leave something yellow in the comments, because August is our last full month of summer. Yellow always makes me think of summertime, so leave me something yellow, your favorite yellow emoji down there. I really do love seeing those and knowing that you were here and that you watched the video. And leaving those comments really does help and means so much to me. And if you enjoyed this video, if you could hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, I would love to have you join my bookish community. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me in my cozy corner of BookTube. And as always, I'll be back with another video very soon. Bye!